Om. Om. Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo Maheshwara, Gurureva Param Brahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Chinmayam Vyapyat Sarvam Trilokyam Sacharacharam Tat Padam Darshitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Tvameva Mata cha Pita Tvameva Tvameva Bandhuscha Sakha Tvameva Tvameva Vedya Dravidam Tvameva Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva. Jai Guru. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahana Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So, what verse are we on this evening?
We're on number 13.
Verse 13, chapter 6, the yoga of meditation, Abhyasa Yoga. So we're getting basic instructions on how to meditate. And again, I want to review the fact that Vyasa, our poet, takes this up after 5 chapters. 3 through 5 have been karma yoga. So if we've been diligent about acting in the world in an intelligent way, we will have to some degree exhausted vasana without creating new ones, which then naturally allows the mind to be able to turn inward for the practice of meditation. All right, will you help us out, please, Deepa?
Samam kaya shriyo grivam dharayanna chalam sthira sampreksha nasikagram swam dischana valokayan. Let him firmly hold his body, head and neck erect and still, gazing at the tip of his nose without looking around.
So here we're dealing with what we call asana. Asana means seat or posture. It could mean both. Yoga Sutra says your posture, your asana should be comfortable. Oh, that's good. I'm going to meditate lying down on the couch. No, doesn't mean that. It means we want to find a posture where the body can maintain itself as still and the mind alert. So if you slouch, eventually your body will have pain. Again, Why do Indians meditate in Padmasana, the lotus posture, or Sukhasana, having your legs crossed one on top of another? Very mystic reason for it. I mentioned it last week. Does anyone remember?
They didn't have chairs.
Culturally, Indians don't have chairs. Modern day Indians do. So for us Westerners or Europeans or people from other parts of the world, it's not critical to sit in lotus posture or Sukhasana. If you've grown up sitting on the floor with no support, your lower back is strong and your hips are open. I'm sitting that way. You've sat in chairs your whole life. It's a lot harder. It's a lot harder. Swamiji always had chairs around the satsang hall for old people and Westerners. I qualify on both accounts now. So, what are the important parts of posture to pay attention to? So here Krishna identifies them. We want the spine, the neck, and the head in alignment. Why? I don't want to talk about this too much. But one of the aspects of the science of yoga is the awakening of our natural spiritual energy. This is called Kundalini. This is not a kind of Italian pasta. Kundalini Shakti. And it lies dormant in the base of the spine, in the Muladhara chakra. As we meditate, it awakens and it moves up and awakens the spiritual centers in the body as it does so. Some people have a direct experience of this. Others, it's on an unconscious level. It's not important. But part of keeping the spine straight is to allow that energy to flow. Now, Sophia, you're an MD, right?
Oh, MBA.
MBA.
A little different.
I don't understand. There was it the other Sophia who was the MD?
Could be.
Anyway, so those of you who have friends who are doctors, have you ever? Well, Dr. Mark, online, the sign for an MD, it's the winged caduceus or caduceus of Mercury. Have any of you seen that? So there's a staff and there's two snakes like that in the wings. Kundalini. Nadi in Bengali. It's right there, the ancients. So this helps energy flow. It also in the end is the most comfortable posture, because we want to be able to forget the body. If the body has pains, it draws our attention. Now, here Krishna says, concentrate on the tip of your nose. Well, I thought he said concentrate on a spot between the brows. Make up your mind, Krishna. The whole point for both of these is to bring the mind to a single point. It doesn't literally mean stare at your nose. Cross-eyed yogis, no. So what we want to do in the beginning of our meditation is have a point of concentration a point of attention. In the Raja Yoga tradition, we call this practice dharana, which means concentration. It doesn't really matter a whole lot. You can do like the Buddhists do and be with your breath. If your mind is really noisy, you can count your breath up to 10 and start over. Oh, I was at one retreat and they had me concentrate on the hara. It was a Zen retreat in the belly, breathing there. Oh, no. You got to concentrate on the lip. Concentrate on the breath there. Well, I thought you could concentrate on the breath in your heart chakra. Now, which is best? Which is better? Don't worry about it. Pick one. Oh, I went to a Vipassana retreat. They had us scanning the body for the sensations in the body. Much better. Doesn't matter. Oh, I was given a mantra from my guru to chant that 1,008 times. It's just a place to park your mind. And this is again for Mike. If you read The Cloud of Unknowing, or you are familiar with Thomas Keating's centering prayer, he says you take a short word like love or peace, God, and you use that. It's mantra practice is all it is, just in a Western version of it. And focus your attention on it. And as thoughts and feelings arise, notice them. And bring your mind back to your point of attention. The important thing is not to get involved in the story, the theme of our thinking. The thought arises, oh, I need to make dinner later. What am I going to make for dinner later? Well, I think I have some zucchini in the refrigerator. Well, I could fry that up and maybe make a little bit of rice with that. Now, do I want to put maybe a little red sauce with that, or will I make that Indian style? You know how your mind does that? It gets caught up in the story. No. Bring it back to your point of attention. Here symbolized by the point of the nose. Symbol. The classic image is you want to be like someone sitting on the bank of a river. And the flow of the mind is the river. All the flotsam and jetsam going by. And we just watch. Now listen carefully. If in a 20 or 30-minute meditation session, you can have moments of quiescence, we're doing very well. All right, next idea after concentrating on the tip of the nose.
Without looking around. That's just.
Yes, without looking around. So in other words, you don't want to be looking around during meditation, but more importantly, we don't want to mentally be looking around. Meditation is not a time for problem solving. It's not a time to go over what you're going to write in your next report. It's not a time to review a conversation that you're going to have with a problematic person. It's not a time to receive messages from some being. It's not a time to endeavor to see visions. It's not a time to do affirmations. All of these are wonderful spiritual practices, and it's not meditation. Don't look around. Find your point of attention and stay with it. Oh, here's another one that happens. Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya. This mantra isn't working. Maybe I'll do another one. Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna. I don't know where I like that one either. Maybe Jai Shri Rama, Jai Shri Rama. Anybody do that? For each meditation session, pick your point of attention and stay with it. Don't look around. Don't look around. Now your mind will resist this. The classic image for the mind in Hindu literature is the monkey. They're not as commonplace in the US. You kind of have to go to a zoo. But if you go to many places in India, you see the monkeys everywhere. They're jumping all over the place and grabbing things and stuff like that. That's our minds. Is that the last idea in this verse? I think it was.
Yeah.
Next verse.
Prashantatma vigat Prashantatma vigat pirva brahmachari vrate sthita manas samyamya matchitto yukta asita matparaha. Serene minded, fearless, firm in the vow of brahmacharya, having controlled the mind, thinking on me, and balanced, let him sit, having me as the supreme goal.
So understand when Krishna says me, we are not approaching this now from the standpoint of bhakti yoga. Krishna out there. When Krishna talks about himself, he's talking about the self in you. Now, with that as our initial understanding, let's pull apart the verse. First idea with the mind controlled, is that right?
Serene minded,
Serene, what is it? Parashantim?
Prashantatma.
Prashantatma. Okay. Serene minded. We want to give up. I'll be happy when. It'll be better if. More, better, different. When those thoughts arise, just put them on the shelf for now. We will refund your misery after meditation. Just put it on a shelf and go back to your point of attention. It's not about going someplace, getting someplace, achieving something. It's about not doing. It's about giving up struggle. Be at peace. And if your mind is agitated, let's say somebody said or did something and you're terribly upset, you just watch the upset. Take on the viewpoint of Sakshi Bhava. Sakshi means witness. Bhava means an attitude or a feeling. Always we take on the attitude, the feeling of I am the witness of the phenomena in the mind. I am not my thoughts. I am not my feelings. Swamiji used to say the way to heal the mind is to get out of the mind. Taking on the viewpoint of Sakshi, witness. This helps us let go of wanting, averring, etc. Next idea.
Firm in the vow of brahmacharya.
Okay. Brahmacharya is usually translated as celibacy, or for married people, chastity. The literal meaning is this: Brahman charya, charati, brahmacharya. Charity means to roam about or to move. The literal meaning is to roam about in Brahman. Now, for most people, especially youngsters, we are frequently tyrannized. First by lust, and second, the loneliness. I want a partner. I want a significant other, a husband or a wife. And if not that, I'll settle for an insignificant other for the evening. This is way, way down in the lizard brain. And at least during our period of meditation, put it on the shelf. Take it up when you've finished your meditation. Now, back to our understanding of Kundalini. The root chakra is where our survival issues are lodged. The second chakra, anybody know what that rules?
Reproduction.
Sex. Frequently, you may have a happy marriage, sitting in meditation, and all of a sudden, uncontrollable horniness arises. And then, of course, we're nice people. We just won't talk about it. Krishna does. This is, you want to move the energy through that chakra. Now, lust or horniness lasts, I think, between 7 to 20 minutes, and then it's gone. Its energy just can't sustain itself. Unless you get on the apps and you're looking on Tender or Grinder or Scruff or Smuff or whatever they're called now. Get your phone out. What are you doing tonight? Want to hook up? What are you doing tonight? You want to hook up? Then it'll stay. It'll stay. But if you do nothing, just don't do something, sit there. It will pass. It's just a thought. But if you keep dumping your energy out the second chakra, it's difficult to move to those higher realms. Third chakra is in the solar plexus. That's our psychic antenna. That's where we want to get connected to other people, community, relationships, stuff like that. I can't tell you how many people get involved in spiritual life what they really want is connection. They don't want God, they want connection. Third chakra. Mine's nice and bouncy. Good like that. We don't begin to open to the higher practices till that energy reaches the hridaya, the heart. This is the seat of unconditional love. Again, in the Christian tradition, we borrow from the Greek. We have at least 3 words for love: eros, philios, and agape or agape. How were you taught to pronounce it, Mike?
Agape.
Yeah. Eros, sexual love. Philios, brotherly love. Agape, what is that? What is it, Mike?
I was thinking that was brotherly.
That's what Christ had. It's the genuine concern for the well-being of others with no thought of anything in return. Philios is like philia. Yeah. Means sibling love, brotherly love. Agape is translated from the Greek to the Latin as caritas, where we get the English word charity, which we think of as giving money to the poor or something, but it's a bigger thing. That's all the 4th chakra. So, brahmacharya, it means sexual continence. It means do your duty wherever you are. Your sexual powers are God-given, not to be despised, but not to be used lightly. Every time you make love with someone, your auras mix and merge. You share psychic space. Be discriminating. And if we keep dumping the energy at the 2nd chakra, won't go very far. Any thoughts on this? Brahmacharya, in the literal sense, meaning celibacy, listen very carefully, is a gift, not a discipline. It is a gift, not a discipline. If you have not been given the gift of brahmacharya, and you force yourself to not have sex, you can really bend and twist the mind. It can get pretty wacko. I think the Archdiocese of San Francisco is declaring bankruptcy. Isn't that right, Mike?
Yeah, Oakland as well.
Why do you think they're doing that?
A lot of men have suppressed their sexuality.
And they predate on vulnerable people, unfortunately, children. But it's the same thing among the swamis. You hear all sorts of stories about swamis, scandals, getting involved with their disciples and stuff like that. So we need to know what's our correct swadharma and understand a significant relationship is not an impediment to realization. All of the rishis were householders. All of them. Some of us are called to a life of celibacy. It does make things a lot easier, I'll tell you that. All right, what's after brahmacharya? Next idea.
Having controlled the mind.
again, over and over again. As the mind wanders, bring it back. Till you can bring the mind to a single. So you may start off with your meditation. Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya. Stop and let there be space around the mantra. Om Shivaya. Om Shivaya. Some yogis get so quiet that it'll take the whole day to repeat their mantras. And then the mind starts to go again. Is that all the pieces of that verse?
There's more.
Okay, go ahead.
Thinking on me and balanced.
Yes. So now we're going to move from dharana to dhyana. Dhyana is meditation. Now, interesting thing linguistically. Pali, they usually say dhyan rather than dhyana. When Buddhism moved from India into China, dhyan became Chan. When it moved from China into Japan, Chan became Zen. And by the time it gets to Japan, it means not only the practice of meditation, but it also means wisdom. And I think it's pretty cool. So now, what is the meditation that we're going to take on? Here, the best exemplar of this was my hero, one of my great spiritual heroes, Ramana Maharshi, who taught a very simple practice. Remember what he called it? Who am I? Koham. Koham. When a thought arises, to whom did this thought arise? To me. Having what we call this radical reversal of the attentive faculty. And who am I? What is my essential nature? Now, in this, a whole lot of practice is implied. One of the most important is what we call Drishya Viveka, the discrimination between the seer and the seen. It's like a game. I am the knower. Anything of which I can be aware is not self. It's other than me. Like a game. Can you all see the bowl on the coffee table here? Are you a bowl? Those of you out in Zoom land, you see the phone? Are you a phone? No. You're the one seeing the phone. Now we can go through all the 5 outer senses. I'm not the sound of the traffic. I'm not the fragrance of the incense. I'm nothing seen, heard, taste, touched, or smelled. Not self. Not iffy, not this. Now we go to the body itself. When I was a child, I had a little body. I went through adolescence and the body changed. Now I'm an adult, the body has changed again. Some of us are north of 50 or 60. Body changes again. But I am the knower of the changes in the body. Take a deep breath. Feel the breath in the body. Do you not know the breath in the body? Same way you know the bowl on the table. Subject, object. I am not the body. We're talking about energy. Sometimes I feel a lot of energy. Sometimes, no, tired. Energy rises and falls. But do not I know the energy. Not self. I am the knower of the prana. Now we go one level more subtle. Manomaya kosha, the mental sheet. Sometimes I feel joy, sometimes I feel sorrow, sometimes I'm bored, sometimes I'm enthusiastic. I have all this range of feelings. But without judging whether they're good or bad. I know the feelings. What my feelings. I'm the witness of my feelings. Not self. Now we go to the realm of the intellect, the buddhi. In your head, do the problem 2 + 2. Remember what you had for lunch. Visualize a strawberry. That place is your intellect. Thoughts go by like your hand in front of your face. But I am not my thoughts. One of the ways in which the intellect manifests is the inner dialogue. Why did I do that? That was so stupid. When I see Fred, am I going to give him a piece of my mind? Oh, I did really well at work yesterday. Do you know that voice that goes on in your head? Yes? It's not you. You see it. It's thoughts going by. You are not the inner voice. Her voice says. You know that. Now, when the mind has become quiet, with the attentive faculty turned inward, who is it who knows the thoughts and even the space between the thoughts? It's tricky because you will never see yourself as an object. we're not unknown. It is like trying to see your eyes. It is like trying to taste your tongue. It is like trying to shine a flashlight on its batteries. You do not see, hear, taste, touch, smell, emote, or think yourself. But in an intellect made incredibly quiet, Shveta, pure. See if you can get a sense of who are you? There's nothing there except Chid Akasha, the space of pure awareness. Nirmalam, without a taint. Achalam, it never moves. Vishuddham, extremely pure, like the sky. And it shines as pure awareness, as I. That is Krishna. So here, when the shloka says, intend on me, that's what it means. When the mind has become quiet, the attentive faculty turn within. Who are you? Next idea.
Let him sit, having me as a supreme goal.
So it may be, Jim, I have no idea what you're talking about. I don't get it. I'm just a suffering, neurotic human being. That's who and what I am. It's okay. You want to have this Paramatma, the supreme self, as your supreme. So here is where we need Shraddha. You can tell me what Shraddha means.
Devotion.
Faith. Faith. And it's richer than the English word. I can have faith that if I turn the switch in the lamp, the light will go on. I can have faith that the sun will come up tomorrow. But Shraddha also means I can have faith in the teaching, faith in the Guru. If I have the capacity, that trick to be able to tune up, to go where the Guru points us. Swamiji used to say, meet me there. Then the teacher can show us the awakened state of mind.
Jim, I have a question.
Yes.
So do you have to have faith that you know you're the knower, or you just know you know who you are?
Well, what we need to do is think logically. Start with your direct experience. Now look again at the bowl. Are you a bowl? No. Hello, Sheila. How are you? You're not a bowl. And the proof of that is that you have a subject-object relationship. Do you understand that? If I can see it, it can't be me. I'm the one who's doing the looking at it. Somebody walks around with a teddy bear. Why are you walking around with a teddy bear? Shut up, I'm a teddy bear. No, you're not. You're carrying the teddy bear. Shut up, I'm a teddy bear. We think they're a little, making sense? So if you can know it, that's not you. So the place we start is to be very clear about what we're not. The scriptures have this very powerful phrase called neti neti. Have you heard this before?
Not this, not that.
Not this, not this. Not iti, not iti. And it means microcosm, macrocosm. But for now, we'll just take the first one. So this is called discrimination between the subject and the objects, between the self and the not self, between the knower and the known. So if you can let go of your identification with the not self, then who you really are becomes apparent. There's an old ancient metaphor. You have to imagine yourself in South India, and there's a Gurukula. This particular guru has a bunch of young boys. Nowadays, let's hope they have girls too. But they're learning to chant Vedas. So you got 20 of them there. Om Badram Karne Vishnu Yamadevaha. They're going on and on like that. And one of the fathers comes and he's heard his kid chant. They do puja at home and stuff like that. He wants to know how well his son is chanting. But he can't pick his kid's voice out because there's 20 boys chanting. So what does he do? He asks the guru one by one, dismiss the boys. They all leave. So finally, only his son is left there. There's nothing else there. That's my son. Oh, he's chanting so well. Oh, so that's the process we do. We remove from our attention everything that obscures our apprehension of the self. Anything that is knowable, cognizable, perceivable, if it exists in the waking dream and the end of the sleep state, if it has a beginning and an end, if it has qualities or characteristics, most importantly, if it is knowable, that's not self. You don't have to have any faith that, oh, I'm the Brahman. Now we have our classic four, what we call pramanas. Have you been through this part before? Let's review it. It's good for everybody. If you're a Hindu, the first pramana means a means of knowledge, but also means an authority. It's Shruti, it's scriptures. And for us yogis, the part of the scriptures we're interested in is the Upanishads. The knowledge that I'm sharing with you is not Jim's, it's not Swamiji's. It's what the Upanishads teach. It is Veda Anta, the end of the Vedas. Second pramana, the recorded evidence of the great sages through time. Krishna says, it's true, it's true. Ramana Maharshi says, it's true, it's true. Ramakrishna says it's true, it's true. Maya says it's true, it's true. Jim says so far, it's true, it's true. Third pramana, your own logical reasoning. Real spirituality is profound common sense. It does not ask us to believe in something that's unverifiable. Oh, God has 4 limbs and rides around on a vimana in the sky. I've never seen it. I've never seen anybody who's seen it. Doesn't matter. Believe. That's nonsense. Can you see the bowl? That's verifiable. You're not a bowl. That's verifiable. Making sense? It's logical. It's rational. It's actually very simple. And the fourth pramana is my own direct experience. Now I have to tell you a true story. So when I went into the ashram, this was in the Hague, 1975. I'd been in other spiritual traditions. I was sitting on I had this little cotton mattress that I sat on, meditated. All of a sudden, there was all this gold white light, and I was filled with all this ecstasy. I'm going, oh, I think I realized the self. So I went out to the avenues where the student of Chinmaya, this fellow named Ram, was there, and he was kind of like the head of the ashram. I said, Ram, I think I've realized the self. He said, oh, really? He said, tell me about it. I said, well, I was sitting in meditation, all this gold white light, this ecstasy. He said, oh, really? He said, before that happened, what were you doing? Well, I was sitting in meditation in my bedroom. And he said, well, who was aware of that? I was. And when you saw the gold white light and experienced the ecstasy, who experienced it? I did. And who's aware of this conversation we're having right now? And I said, I am. And it was very clear to me. The experience wasn't it. Excuse me, I got a frog. What is that? That's the knower of everything. That is nityam, eternal. That's always there. That's yourself. Now, first, we get what's called paroksha jnana, indirect knowledge. You hear it from the guru, you read it in the scriptures. So yeah, it makes perfect sense. But then, abhyasa yoga, this chapter, meditate. So you have the direct experience of paroksha. Is that useful?
Mhm.
I'm not making this up.
Jim, I have a follow-up question.
Sure.
I don't know if you have time. But you said that anything knowable, perceivable, observable is not us.
That's right.
So if we remove all those things, then what is left?
Go there and find out.
Feels like there'd be nothing there.
And who would be aware of the nothingness?
Me,
Yeah, who are you?
nothing.
You are no thing. But you are not nothing.
So I have a question about
Hang on, let me stay with her first.
Okay. So
So
does that mean we're all just empty without, I guess without all this stuff, which I get is not me, but then I guess I'm still not clear what is left.
go there and find out. In a quiet mind,
Which is the opposite of my mind, but
in the space between your thoughts, with the attentive faculty turned within, find out who you are. Go on. Who am I? Yeah, go ahead.
I think I just need more practice and I'll get the answer. It's just, I guess the question is, you know that you're the knower, like the self is seeing nothing, but isn't that something? So I don't know.
Well, do you exist?
The confidence is not there that I exist.
Oh, this is great. She's a Shunyavadan. She's the scoliest of the void. It's a whole school of Buddhists. I don't exist. Okay, so if you don't exist, who knows it?
So the person who knows that I don't exist, that's the real thing.
Find out who is the ultimate knower. And you will find out you do not see, hear, taste, touch, or smell yourself. You don't emote yourself. Descartes said, I think, therefore I am. Obviously, you didn't meditate. Try not thinking and see if you disappear. How do you know you are you? The scriptures say you are swayambhu, self-evident. The self always is knowing itself, not as an object. It's like this. Have you ever seen your eyes? Have you?
No,
Oh, then you must not be able to see. You've never seen your eyes. Obviously, eyes don't exist.
but they're there.
Uh-huh. And they are always seeing. These are good questions. And this is proper investigation. This is called Atma Vichara, investigating the nature of the real self. Did we get all the pieces of that one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Jim, may I ask, then what, so is there a place for visions at all in this? Because in the Christian tradition, visions and experiences, those mystical experiences, are very, very important.
They are and they're not. Depends on which particular school of mysticism you're engaged in.
Okay.
And in the mystic tradition, we have cataphatic theology and apophatic theology. Are you familiar with those terms?
Mhm.
So if you go all the way back to Pseudo Dionysius and his mystic theology and his via negativa,
Got it.
it's exactly the same as Shankar.
But if you do the other one where it's visions, can you get to the same point of understanding just being awareness?
I don't know. I should find out. Report back to me.
Maybe another 60 years.
Vedanta would say no.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
And I think Pseudo Dionysius would say no. In the beginning, cataphatic theology is when we say God is truth, God is light, God is love, God is omniscient, God is omnipresent. Apophatic theology is God is not truth, God is beyond truth. God is not light, God is beyond light. God is not love, God is beyond love. What is the nature of I? And it is Purnam, it is full. even though it is also shunya, empty. There is no thing there. It's not nothing. These are just words. Until in meditation, you do what Krishna is suggesting in these verses. Okay, let's do one more.
I one Jim Shweta.
Please go ahead.
So on the Atma Vichar, actually when somebody says hurtful things, very cruel comments, what gets, I mean, I can feel the hurt, but who gets hurt, me or the mind which is processing? And how to be Sakshi Bhav at that moment?
All right. Excellent, excellent question. We'll get into it. So in the subtle intellect, we call it the Vijnana Maya Kosha. There is a faculty called the Karta, the doer. And its job is to coordinate all the sensory data, memory, thoughts and feelings, and it gives rise to a counterfeit self, a phony self. The scriptures will even use the term chaya. Is your mother tongue Hindi?
Yeah,
Yeah. What's chaya in Hindi?
shadow.
Yes. It's a phony self. It's a shadow self. It only arises when you don't look at it. It only arises when the attention is focused outward. But the mind attributes to the self the qualities of the not self. So when someone says hurtful, cruel things to us, it is that function in the intellect that says they're talking about me. And then we want to fight, flight, and freeze. That's the mind's classic responses to feeling attacked. That's what we do. So the yogi, when someone says cruel things, practices just letting things pass through. I have a dear friend, my friend Susan, who's a Sufi, and I've seen her do this sometimes. Susan, you're blah, 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 blah. And she goes, well, aren't you powerful? She just won't own it. Now, if someone's physically abusive, that's another story. You can be badly traumatized by that. But those are things offline, we can talk about that. But the thing is, if we've been raised in an abusive situation where you're no good, you're not pretty enough, you're not smart enough, you're not talented enough, we internalize that, then that chaya, that shadow self, it's very contracted and it's always in a defensive and protective mode. And then as adults, frequently then we find ourselves unconsciously attracted to people who will act out those early childhood conditionings. Many people will end up marrying someone just like an abusive parent. It's very tragic. But as yogis, we can get out of it. Can get out. No one can say anything that can hurt us unless we let it. But unfortunately, when the mind is in ignorance, we have no tools. We have no tools. No blame. We're not bad because we get hurt, reacted, and contracted. Our self-esteem is around our ankles. We get traumatized. That's part of the nature of spiritual ignorance. And just the intellectual knowledge is not enough. We have to practice. Abhyasa vairagya cha is what it says in Yoga Sutra. Practice, abhyasa, and vairagya, capacity to let this stuff go over and over. We can talk more about it offline,
Thank
but
you.
there is a way out. There is a way out. There is hope. Okay. I don't think we have time to start the next one because it's only 5 up. We can take a few more comments, questions. and
I have
then
a
we'll-
follow-up question.
Please.
What are some of the ways to heal the chit chaya or identify it even first to begin with?
Well, you see it. Let me see if I can give an example. So, first of all, I suggest for you, take on the mantra, if I feel like a person, I'm deluded. Technical term is jiva bhavana, the attitude or feeling that I'm a person. I'm going to change scriptures here a bit, just because Yoga Vasishta treats this with incredible clarity. Yoga Vasishta says our ignorance, samsara, karma chakra, our suffering is all rooted in just 3 ideas. First, jiva bhavana, I think I'm a person. What does that mean? I think I'm the body, or the body plus the personality. With that arises a goal, because that sense of being a person always feels incomplete. If I feel okay, it will pass, don't worry. Then you're going to feel neurotic again. And the goal only takes one of 2 forms. I either need to fix the world or I need to fix me. Third element is what we call kartavya, struggle, literally obligatory action. I'll be happy when, it'd be better if, I change all that, I'm going to work towards that, I'm going to do all these psychological practices, I'm going to go to therapy 4 times a week, if I do all this stuff. And it doesn't deal with the fundamental issue. Jiva bhavana, a goal, kartavya. So what yoga says, if you can drop any one of those 3 ideas, the other 2 fall. So tonight we've been working on dropping jiva bhavana. If you feel like you're Deepa, you're already in the nightmare of delusion. Stop. Who am I? All the things the mind presented, not real. Or you can work on the otherness. What is this world? Sarvam kalvidam brahma. All this is verily Brahman. It's all like a dream. It's a virtual reality. It's a light show. It's all God. Or the third one, kartavya. This is the path of surrender. Let go. Let God. Accept. Come into the now. All we need to work on is those 3 ideas. Not really anything else. I didn't make it up. Yoga Vasishta said it, but it's been proven true in my life. Is that useful?
Yeah, That's pretty cool, actually.
That's all there is to it. Just those three ideas. My mind, because I like images. I'm just, it's if you, as a kid, if you ever built card castles, and you took the playing cards and you put the three cards together, and then you could build a huge tower. Any of you do that as kids? Yeah. What if you take one of those three cards at the bottom and pull it out? The whole thing falls down. All of my problems, Jim, you don't know what I deal with, work and relationship and my parents and the world and crime and Trump, all of this stuff. It's all just cards built on those three ideas. Just pull any one of them out. Simple, not easy. In Shankara's great text, Viveka Chudamani, the crest jewel of discrimination, which we're going to start on September 14, Thursday night. So those of you who want to study the original Handbook to Higher Consciousness, it's brilliant. But in his section, as he leads up to the qualifications of a fit student, one of the words he uses is medha. Is that a Hindi word as well?
It's not commonly used in spoken Hindi.
Sanskrit, it means a keen memory, can mean wisdom, but it means a keen memory. And it doesn't mean, oh yes, I memorized the entire 15th chapter of the Gita. It doesn't mean that. Oh, I can chant the entire Taittiriya Upanishad. No, it doesn't mean that. It means when I'm in a situation in life, I can remember to apply the spiritual tool that will get me out of my craziness. You can hear the principles here in satsang. But as Swamiji used to say, students leave the Vedanta on their chairs when they leave. We forget. Start. This is why the repetition of the scriptures, of satsang, is so important.
Jim, so you don't get, oh, I'm sorry.
You may not have a good memory, but you've probably got a really good forgettery. Was that Susali with a question?
Yes, I was going to say, you're talking about repetition. So you don't get annoyed by the same questions, because I forget. And so I was just
By your questions. It's the human condition, sweetheart. It's this human condition. I don't want any stupid questions. And the only stupid question is the one you don't ask.
But I think I've been asking, I was going to ask what Deepa asked. And then I thought, well, that's the same question I asked about 4 years ago or 6 years ago or 3 years ago. It's just.
Yeah, don't worry about it. All right, it's 8 o'clock. It's a little past, so we have to quit here. Welcome, Shweta. I hope you come back.
Yes, Jim, tomorrow also, Monday evening, I think there is a session.
Panchadashi, yeah. All right.
Yeah, so I would just join them.
Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Sri Guru Kyo Namaha. Hari